Hello, my name is Matt, and today I'm going to show you some exercises to strengthen the wrists, which can be really beneficial for arm balances, including handstand and others. So on the wrist, we have the flexors on this side, the wrist extensors on this side. So we're going to do some exercises such as these, which strengthen the extensors, and then going to this side to strengthen the flexors. We want to have a balance, we want to have strong muscles on both sides of the wrist, really, to have a nice stable wrist joint. We're also going to do some mobility exercises and try to get a little bit more range of motion through the wrists, because if your wrists are tight, that can also prevent you from being able to balance in a handstand. So first, let's start by warming up the wrists. So if you just gently circle them around like this, okay, just start to warm them up easily. And then interlace your fingers, and then little figure of 8. It's good to note that a lot of gymnasts, before they do their handstands, do these sorts of wrist warm-ups that we're about to do. And in yoga, we do a lot of bearing of weight on our hands, so it makes sense to take time to warm up the wrists. And yet, I think you won't find many wrist exercises and wrist warm-ups in classes. So maybe you can do this on your own before you get into the studio. All right. So we've warmed the wrists a little bit. Now to start building some strength, let's place the knuckles down like this. It's much like a gorilla, like you're knuckle walking, okay? And then you're going to, from these fists, slowly open the hands out as slow as you can, and be sure to keep your elbow straight, like you have a brace around the elbow. So do not bend the elbow as you lower down. Keep the elbow very straight, and slowly lower down, and then slowly come back up. Also be careful not to drop one at a time, but rather lower down with control and come up with control. Good. And if you feel like you can't lower with control because it's just too hard, then shift your weight back. You'll have more weight on your knees, and then you'll have less weight on the hands, which will make this easier. So now, let's try 6 of them in a row. So from knuckles, slowly open the hands out. Slowly come back up, that's 1. And then 2, slowly open out, and come back up. Here's 3, slowly lower, and up. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, try bringing your hands a little bit more forward, try having more weight into the hands. Here's 4, slowly lower, slowly lift. Make sure you don't cheat and do 1 at a time. So both at the same time in a slow, controlled way. And 1 more, that should be about 6. And then hold here for a moment. Arms straight, draw shoulders away from the ears, and just shift weight right and left. So you have more weight into your right hand and then the left hand. And then if you're really strong, you could even extend both legs out and bear weight through the hands like that. All right, release out of that, circle the hands around. Ease out the wrists. And then you can also do this nice little stretch where you grab onto the fingers and the base of, or the top of the metacarpals, and pull back like this for a bit of wrist flexibility. That can be a nice thing to do in between our strength building exercises. And then release out. So opening out like that was mainly for the extensors on the outside. So now this will be for the flexors on the inside of the wrist. Okay, so you come up onto the hands like this. So on this part, so the soft side of the knuckle. And then you slowly lower down. Slowly lift back up. Same principles as the other side. Keep your arms straight. If it's too difficult, have more weight back onto your knees. But you'll probably find this way is easier because we use our wrist flexors a lot more in our day-to-day life, like when you're holding a pan. That's mainly your wrist flexors using that. Engage there to hold the pan in place. So maybe you can make it a little bit more challenging by bringing the knees further back, by having more weight onto the hands. Just make sure you lower slowly with control, come up slowly with control. You don't drop into it. So we're just doing 6, that was probably about 6 already, but you could even do more if you wanted to. You could do 10, do 3 rounds of 10 if you really want to build the wrists, build up the strength of the wrist. Just be careful not to overdo it, of course. Okay, in between rounds of that, Circle the wrists around, maybe stretch them this way in the opposite direction. And then one last thing for wrist mobility. So if you've got sort of less flexible wrists, this might be the most challenging aspect. So bring your hands down like so, the palms facing forward, going to place the hands down. Walk the knees back a little bit. Activate your core, so pull the belly button in, and then slowly shift the weight back. And at some point you will feel a wrist stretch. You might not even have to go very far. You might be here. You might not even be able to bring the palms down, which is fine. Okay, so find what works for you, where you get the best stretch. And then slowly shift right and left. Shift right and left. Couple more times, right and left. And then release out of that. And one last stretch that I like to do after you circle the hands around. I don't feel a difference in my wrists. I think you might as well if you follow this sequence. So you can feel they're a lot warmer, might feel like these muscles are activated more. So last stretch, bring the fingernails down to the floor in the direction you play the piano, and then roll over the wrists. Keep the arms straight, draw shoulders away from the ears. So again, don't lift the elbow, don't bend the elbows, don't lift the shoulders. Shoulders away from the ears and arms straight, so that you're creating the bend here in the wrist. Stretch there for a moment. And then release out. Good. Okay. Now, if you're working with a wrist injury, you might need rest. But if you do need some sort of support, this is what I use if I need to teach and my wrist is bothering me. It's a wrist support like this, which you can find in lots of shops and online. I recommend one with a thumb strap like that, and then you wrap it around, and this provides just a little bit more support for the wrist. If you don't need it though, of course don't use it, only if you need it. Last thing, when you come into an arm balance, and you've got those strong wrists through these exercises, then grip the floor with your fingerprints like this. Imagine grabbing a mound of earth with your hands. And doing that action of grabbing the earth with your hands, with the strong wrists, I think it will help you to be able to balance in an arm balance like this. So, until next time, keep those wrists strong. Bye.